Hello there, this is Christian Ward, the comic book creator of titles such as Odyssey, Black Bolt, Bloodstained Teeth, Spectrograph, and Batman, City of Madness. And you are listening to the Oblivion Bar podcast.
Welcome to the Oblivion Bar podcast with your host, Chris Hacker and Aaron Knowles.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 164 of the Oblivion Bar podcast. I am Chris Hacker and one of your co-hosts here. And joining me this week, he is back, everyone. My BFF and co-host is, after a 2-episode stint away from the show, he has rejoined us for episode 164. Welcome back, Aaron. What are you revving here? What is this? What's happening?
That's my engine, baby, and I'm ready to go.
You've just been ready to go.
That's my Batmobile. Remember from like the Batman? Oh my god! Now I'm gonna go watch that again. One of the coolest Batmobile scenes ever.
Best scene, maybe. I'd say the best scene of the movie. Maybe. I love that car chase. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the Oblivion Bar podcast, episode 164. We are joined by our good friend in the comic book world. Dare I say, best friend in the comic book world. Christian Ward is back on the Oblivion Bar podcast for his 5th time, increasing that lead up above David Boer and Tom King.
Yes.
So Christian Ward is back to talk about his upcoming, at the time of this recording, it was the upcoming Zoop campaign of Many Worlds, M-A-N-Y.
Not many.
Worlds. Not many.
Not tiny.
Not small. So Many Worlds is officially on Zoop. And Aaron, congratulations to Christian, because it's been funded. It's over. It's already beat it. So amazing.
Of course, yes. I'm waiting for Christian to be like knighted, like officially knighted, so he can be Sir Christian Ward.
Yes.
That way we can, welcome back, sir. Whenever he comes on the show, welcome.
We could do it.
Yeah, we could.
We could just do it.
We could knight him. He is a knight of the Oblivion Bar.
The next time that he comes on the show, we'll perform that right before the interview.
Yes.
Which I'm assuming, based on his track record, will be next week at some point.
Yeah.
He'll just be here. We'll just like start the studio up to start an episode, and he'll just be here already, just hanging out, drawing Spectrograph or something.
Walking with Ward.
We still need to get that segment going.
Yes.
We're dragging our feet on that one, but that's $1 billion idea just waiting on the table. But Christian, like I said, is here on the show again, talking about Many Worlds, talking about his inclusion in the DLC for Alan Wake 2, which was a cool surprise. Aaron, you're a big video game fan. Was that what's before we get into this conversation, what's sort of your relationship with Alan Wake? Or were you a fan of it back in the day? Or
to be honest, I've actually never played it. It's one of those horror games that's kind of eluded me, and also it kind of has its origins at a time where you may not know this, but I've for a long time I was not a horror fan, and that really, like, Alan Wake kind of started before my horror fan area kind of my era of horror started, which I actually had a really good conversation with a new friend recently, and we talked a lot about current horror films. And I think one of the ones they said that I should not watch was, I know we're going off on a little bit of a tangent here.
That's all right.
But Immaculate.
That's what we do.
Have you seen Immaculate?
Aaron, who's my dream crush right now?
Of course. It's
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. That's why I was surprised if you hadn't.
Yeah.
But they were telling me it's pretty horrible, pretty graphic and gruesome and brutal, and just a lot going on.
The finale is very interesting. I will say that. I think up to that point, it's pretty much your paint by numbers, pretty average horror film. But the final 10 minutes, I will say, is sort of worth the price of admission, especially if you're wanting to kind of see the range of Sydney Sweeney.
Yes.
I will say that kind of on that similar boat, I guess, since we're already on this tangent, and Christian, I hope if you're listening right now, you're enjoying this. I will say the Good Omen, or sorry, The Bad Omen.
The Bad Omen.
The Bad Omen is a far better version of Immaculate. So if you're if you've seen Immaculate and you're sort of iffy, if your temperature is sort of low on that one, go check out the Bad Omen. I will say it again, The Bad Omen, which is a prequel to The Omen.
So to round this all back to Alan Wake, that's my history with Alan Wake. Is not much. I know of Alan Wake. I have not played the games, which, to be honest, the fact that Christian is involved with it, much like his work, automatically draws me in. Now I just want to go back and play Alan Wake, you know?
I've even played Alan Wake 1 and now I want to play 2. Actually,
Yeah.
I haven't played 2 either, and now I've just got to get the DLC just because it's got his artwork in it.
Absolutely.
But along with that, he also teases an upcoming collaboration with an old collaborator. So stick around for that conversation here in just a moment. Real quick, I should have transitioned with this, Aaron, a moment ago. We were talking about horror films. Everyone, if you haven't listened to our previous episode, 163, we were joined by Nick Denizio from the former Effin' Nerds to talk about Longlegs. So if you've seen that new Neon film, very divisive, Aaron, across audiences and critics.
Divisive. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Critics love it. Audiences are sort of lukewarm to average on it, I think, which is understandable. If you've seen the film, if you've listened to our review, you kind of understand why. Aaron, I'm excited to eventually have you see that film so I can get your thoughts on it.
Very soon.
Yes.
I've heard a lot of the things that I've heard from or of it have all been, again, I haven't heard anything negative. I haven't heard anything really like you were saying, like lukewarm or mediocre about it. I've only heard good things. I've heard people saying that this is one of the scarier movies that's come out in a very long time. And so it only, oddly enough, that draws me in even more.
What if I told you Nick Cage is in it?
Yeah, he's the I guess antagonist.
He's Longlegs. He is the Longlegs, Mr. Longlegs, Dr. Longlegs in this film. So if you're a big fan of Nick Cage, he makes some interesting choices. Again, I'm not going to spoil any of that because we're here to talk to Christian today. If you want to listen to that conversation and that review with Nick, great conversation. Really happy with that episode. Go check that out. It's 2 hours long too, Aaron. I don't know if you saw that. It's a very long episode.
So it's long legs.
Long episode about long legs. That's right. So before we get into this conversation with Christian, really quick, a couple administrative notes to go over very quickly. If you want to support the show, of course, as we always say, patreon.com/Oblivion Bar Pod. For your support, you could have access to The Grid, which is our weekly bonus podcast. Aaron and I get in front of a mic. We just spew out just word vomit right in front, just whatever is on the front of our cranium, we give it to the patrons. And for better or worse, it's a perk. Aaron, is it a perk? Is that the correct word for that?
It's perkalicious. It's perkalicious. It's I think
PERK licious.
I think it's a definitely a perk because you know what? Where else can you go where you just hear like two best friends like talking about everything? Like there's really not a lot that's off limits. And that's the other thing. As a Patreon member, depending on the tier that you join, you actually get an opportunity to choose like a topic. I was going to say like a theme, like a topic, like a narrative. Like that's your right as a Patreon member.
That's right. You actually get access to these transcripts that we're using right now, Aaron. You can get a Patreon nickname at the highest tier. If you want to get a nickname from Aaron and I, we've done that a bunch on the show here recently, which is really fun. And Aaron will give you a special shout out at the end of each Oblivion Bar episode. He'll do that here in just a bit. It's the best way to support the show. Patreon.com/Oblivion Bar Pod. Either go there or check our show notes right now. If you want to support the show for free, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Sorry, I got to get all the shameless plugs out of here.
For free.
For free. They always say you got to put the plugs in at the beginning because you got to get people while they're still listening, right? You know, some people skip this part. Everybody just hit the 15-second mark if you want to hear Christian talk about mini worlds and Alan Wake. But actually, I take that back, Aaron. We need to talk about something we need to change the tone just a little bit for just a quick moment.
Record scratch.
Not a fun topic, but we have to talk about it. Good friends of the show, sponsors of the show. Aaron's taking his glasses off because it's gonna get steamy in here. Yeah. Longtime sponsor of the show, Omnibus, officially shut down earlier last week. Very, very sad news. This was truthfully, no jokes, all seriousness here, was a total gut punch. We found out a couple days before it was officially announced on social media. We are just such huge fans of Omnibus, of Travis, of the app itself. We really believed in it, Aaron.
Yeah.
Like when we met Travis and Kenny at that time in San Diego of 2022. Was it 22? San Diego 2022?
No, it was 23.
Was it 20? Oh, it was 23. You're right,
23.
because I was in the middle of chemo. Yeah. So 23, San Diego 23. We were all in, man. And they were all in on us, which is kind of my transition. I'm going to pass it off to you so you can kind of say what you want to say about Omnibus. If nothing else, if you didn't fully believe in the app like you and I did, the fact that they believed in us enough, a lot of the cool things that have happened in the show over the last year are in a direct through line from Omnibus and their support.
Even things coming.
And upcoming things, which we'll sort of tease here in a bit, because here in about 2 weeks, we're going to take some time off. And when we come back, a lot of things that we have sort of in the works or things that will be premiering in the fall when we come back will be in direct correlation with Omnibus. So Aaron, I'm going to pass it off to you. What are your thoughts? What was sort of going through your head when Travis shot us that text and told us that Omnibus was going away?
When I read all of that, because I tend to come into the conversations a little bit later. I don't like to be on my phone. Not saying that you do or anybody else does, but I don't, I tend to put my phone down when I'm driving, and I pick it up and I'll look through texts and things. And I saw that, and honestly, I read through the conversation as it was happening, and it was just heartbreaking, and kind of to echo what you said, it is exactly like that. When you have a show like we do, and you find, like, it's us two. This is us.
Mm-hmm.
This is our team.
Yeah.
This is what we do. And when we met Kenny and Travis, when I first met them, and and met what the Omnibus app team was and who they were, it was almost like a mirror image.
Kindred spirits immediately.
It was kindred spirits, and we got along. We hung out. And it just became like this. What would you call it? It
was very easy,
like symbiotic. It was very symbiotic.
Yeah.
We absolutely, to echo what you said, we absolutely believed in what they were making, what they made. Because apps are almost organisms these days. They're constantly changing, growing, and becoming better. We loved what they were creating, and it is a downer because business is the way it is, and sometimes things just don't succeed despite being an amazing product. There are some amazing things that you, especially in this industry of comic reading, you'll read a great book and then it'll just fizzle out for any number of reasons.
Right.
So it was heartbreaking to read that. And obviously we wish everybody over at Omnibus all the luck in the world with whatever their future endeavors are. This Omnibus will always hold a special place in our heart as our favorite comic reader. And we hope, I don't know, that's really all I can say is, I don't think anything else will come close to what they created, and it sucks.
Truly. And to sort of build off what you were saying there, the comic industry desperately needs an alternative digital shop, and Omnibus was, in my opinion, perfecting it to a certain degree. And Comixology is bullshit, everybody. I'll be honest with you. Comixology could come to us tomorrow and say, we want to support the Oblivion Bar podcast. We want to sponsor the Oblivion Bar podcast. I would say no, because I don't like their product. And we've always said that we will never, ever showcase or partner with anything, any brands or any products that we don't wholeheartedly love and use ourselves. And Comixology is not that. Omnibus was that. And it's a bummer. If you have the Omnibus app and you've been using it a lot recently, you can go and download all the PDFs in sort of a lump sum. I've already done that. I think Dark Horse, weirdly enough, which is one of our favorite publishers, does not allow you to download all of your backup PDFs, which is kind of a bummer. But for the most part, almost everything that you've bought on Omnibus is immediately you're able to download it and just transfer it to whatever reader you're going to be using going forward. There's really no easy way to transition from this. There's no easy way to summarize how much Omnibus meant to us, how much our friendship from, Kenny and Travis both, but specifically Travis in the situation, because he believed in us. We were going to sign another year, Aaron. We signed another year.
Yeah.
Like I'm fully okay letting the listener know right now that we were ready to go for another year. And it just so happened that the month that we signed another year, this happened. So it's a bummer. I want to give a specific shout out again to Travis for giving us a specific shout out. If you actually go to omnibus.app, he highlights the publishers. He highlights the creators that put all the work out there. Us, Brad and Lisa over the Comic Book Couples Counseling. Of course, all the publishers all the marketing managers that he worked with, and his team. So forever on Omnibus. And I'm very excited to see what Travis does next. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Sending big hearts out to all the Omnibus team and Travis, and man, it was a beautiful ride.
Mm-hmm. And if you have a good digital reader, please shoot us a tweet, an email. I don't even know. I have no idea. I don't even know where to go next. I should know, but I don't. I think Global Comics or something is an option. I don't know. Anyway, on to better news. So next week, actually the week that you're listening to this conversation, I will be in San Diego Comic-Con Wednesday through Sunday. If you happen to stop by the Comic Sketch Art booth and Artist Alley, I think we have like close to 20 creators there for that week. please stop me. I'll probably be losing my mind, Aaron. I think I have like here. I actually have my list of whatnot shows here. Jim Zub. I'm just gonna name off a couple here. Jim Zub is one of the creators I'll be talking to. Let's see here. Mitch Garrett, Jason Aaron, Joel Jones. I've got Mark Brooks, the entire Radiant Black team. We've got Gary Dugan. We've got Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. We've got, just so many here. Mirka and Dolfo. Aaron, you love Mirka. Let's see here. Tom King and Mitch Garrett's together. Sweeney Boo. Rose Besh. So many creators I have the ultimate pleasure of sitting down with and talking to with the Comic Sketch Art team, on Whatnot. So go check that out. Follow them over on Comic Sketch Art on Whatnot to see me lose my mind / talk to a bunch of creators and try not to sweat and bumble over my words. So that'll be fun. If you happen to see me, please say hi. Enough of all that, Aaron. Are you ready to finally introduce and bring back our good friend Christian Ward on for the 5th time?
Who?
Just some English guy we found at a comic, at a con.
Randomly walking around a convention.
Just hawking Batman, the City of Madness to folks.
I've got this idea.
It's Batman but Cthulhu. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, let's go ahead and get this conversation with Christian Ward. Before we do that, though, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Our sponsor for today's episode is G Fuel, the official energy drink of esports. Whether you're a casual gamer, a content creator, an everyday Joe, or an esports pro, G Fuel's sugar-free, antioxidant, and vitamin-fortified focus-enhancing and high-performance energy products will give you the edge you need to fuel your grind. No sugar, no gluten, no crash, just natural, clean vitamin energy that's available in over 40 lip-smacking flavors. While stocking up at gfuel.com, use our code OBP at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's OBP at checkout. G Fuel. Performance energized.
And now, this week's special guest.
Joining us this week on the show is the 3 times Eisner-winning comic book creator behind titles like Aquaman, Andromeda, Odyssey, Invisible Kingdom, Black Bolt, Bloodstained Teeth, Batman, City of Madness, and Spectrograph. This is also his 5th time on the show, continuing to build his lead as the most visited guest in Oblivion Bar history. It is our honor to welcome Christian Ward back onto the Oblivion Bar podcast.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah.
That's my boy.
Come on. I'm only here to obliterate.
That's right. You have a 2 visit lead now.
Yeah, he might have his HBO Green Lantern. I mean, that's great.
Sure.
Fine. All right. Okay, sure. But he's not been on this podcast 5 times. So who's the winner now?
Truthfully, it is you, and I think you'll continue to build that lead. Aaron, I got to say really quickly, I have no idea what that cadence was at the beginning, but I kind of like it. I kind of like where it was like a prolonged, like sort of Ric Flair pause in between every Aquaman, Andromeda, Odyssey, Invisible Kingdom. Like it built up a lot of tension. I was in for it.
Thank you. I told you I've been practicing.
Aaron doesn't know how to respond. He thinks I'm being facetious, but I'm being serious.
I do. But no, seriously, I've been practicing. I have been.
Okay.
I've been doing some community management and engagement, and it's really helped my cadence and my presentation skills. It's been really fun.
We're all nervous here. I can tell. Like we all have we have the butterflies, and we have to like sort of do an icebreaker, I think. Yeah. So we're going to premiere a brand new segment here on the Oblivion Bar. We're going to call Quick Hitters with Christian. This will be a rapid round of a bunch of random questions that you have to answer in under 30 seconds. And if you don't, I will start to boot you off that question with this very British buzzer.
Go for it.
Are you ready?
He had to use Doctor Who.
Yeah. I am, yeah.
Aaron, are you ready?
I'm ready. Do you have like a ding ding like we're starting?
Here we go. Christian, what's the worst piece of advice an editor has ever given you?
I haven't had a piece of advice from an editor, but I had a piece of advice from an old college lecturer who said my colouring was terrible.
Screw you, dude.
All right, next. How much do you remember from your 18th birthday?
Loads, because I used to be sad and dull and boring, and I think I wore a waistcoat, and I had loads of people. I had loads of friends around at my house, but it wasn't like a house party because I had all my family there as well. It was excruciatingly bad.
What was the last movie to make you cry?
All of Us Strangers. Is that the name
nice.
of it?
Yeah, All of Us Strangers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
I think there was one since then, but I can't recall. But that's the one I can remember.
Okay.
That's one.
Never heard of that one. Okay.
Oh, it's good.
3 comic creators you want to work with still.
None.
Nobody.
me, and me.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
I mean, I'm being facetious. There's lots of people that I'd probably maybe want to work with, but I don't know. Not really. I quite like doing stuff myself. I'd like to do stuff with more artists. I'd like to write with more artists, for more artists. That's my next thing.
All
It's
right.
going well. I like this. It's good.
You're doing pretty good. I just wanted to use the buzzer at that point. You were well under 30 seconds. I just wanted to use it. Okay. Fuck, marry, kill. Pulp Fiction, Interstellar, and Ex Machina.
How do I know? Kill the one I don't want anymore?
Correct.
Kill the one gone?
Yep.
Shit. That's difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say kill, and this is I would say kill Pulp Fiction.
Man.
I mean, it's great, but like, based on those three, it's the one I've rewatched least.
Uh-huh.
And I would probably marry Interstellar, and I'd have a bit of hufty shufty with my old friend Oscar Isaac.
Who is your favorite comic book creator at age 25?
Frank Whiteley.
Oh, nice. Good choice. Any particular title? Why that was? Like, was there one specific one that?
Hang on a minute. Maybe I'm just like, I've got to think about my age. Right? Was he about when I was 25?
I don't know. You were 25 in like 1963? Is that around that time? I think.
I'm 47 now. Hang on, 25. I mean, it probably. I mean, if it wasn't Frank Whiteley, it would have been Dave McKean. It would have been one of those two.
Okay.
Or maybe Joe Mads. But that was probably when I was younger. I'm still going.
If you could go back in time and see one band live that isn't around anymore, who would it be and why?
Oh, do you know what? I wouldn't, because you got to stand up, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? All that standing, waiting for the band to come on, and that time between when the support act and then the main band, it's excruciating. You just stand there like a lemon, just like, come on the stage. I don't do gigs anymore. I'm like, oh no, thank you. But I don't know, Bowie.
Nice.
Fair.
But it'd have to be like a sit-down gig, obviously, like a grown-up seat.
Yeah.
Grown-up gig.
Intimate, yeah, like an unplugged.
Intimate,
So
yeah.
repeat the following words after I say them. Gutted. Schedule. Missile. Quinoa.
Quinoa.
Vase.
Quinoa. What? Vase. Vase.
There it is. That was the last.
Tomato.
There's another one. We just wanted to see which words you pronounce in a British way instead of American.
All of them, darling. Go on. Are we done? Oh, is that done, is it?
That was
Two more.
Here we go.
Go.
Who do you think is the better kisser? Etrigan the Demon or Ben Grin's the Thing? Elaborate on your answer.
I mean, like, it's got to be the demon, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be, because he's got his lips are soft.
Yeah, he rhymes a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know whether that comes into it. It might lure you in more.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure Ben's lovely. He seems like a lovely chap, but I can't say hug. Maybe a good hugger.
Nice.
I don't know. Are those stones warm?
I feel like he looks like a warm guy. I think he'd be warm.
He's getting married. He got married, right?
Yeah.
Can't be that
Alicia
bad.
Masters. Yeah.
I might be changing my mind.
Oh.
I think I'm going grim.
I like it.
Ben all up in that ass.
Yeah. Oh, you've gone too far.
All right. Settle down.
All right, best modern comic you've read recently.
I mean, this isn't a plug now because by the time this comes out, it'll have gone out. But I read Nice House by the Sea today. I got a PDF of Nice House by the Sea, and it's phenomenal. So, but I would say from a complete package, Nice House by the Lake is probably, regardless of whether I'm working with James or not at the moment, taking that out of the equation, I think Nice House by the Lake is probably my favourite modern comic. That ties with Something Beneath the Trees. But those two, I would say, the biggest amazing modern comics at the moment.
Good choices. Also, all good friends of the podcast, Patrick Horvath, James Tynan IV. So good answers. What did you think of our brand new segment, Quick Hitters with Christian?
Exhausting, but it was fun. like all good exhausting things.
It's like the old school show, quiz show.
Yeah. Well, now that we're all comfortable, let's talk about the stuff you're really here for, which you've had a lot of cool things recently announced since the last time you were here on the show, which, as we had just mentioned, was only back in April when you were here with James Tynan talking about Spectrograph. Most notably, of those things that were announced, it was your art book collection, Mini Worlds, that you were crowdfunding through Zoop. So tell us a little bit about the process of working with Zoop and
Mini Worlds.
Mini M-I-N-I.
Many worlds.
Many.
Many worlds.
Many.
Like Manny worlds, like Manny, like very mannish.
Many.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Tell us about the process and what it was like designing the book.
So Jordan from Zoop, who's like the head honcho over there at Zoop, he came by my table at New York Comic Con last year.
That's where I met him.
Lovely guy. Introduced himself and basically just said, "Is there anything that you would want to be doing at Zoop?" I was very familiar with them because, as you guys might be able to see, I've got the Winter Soldiers artist collection behind me, and I was really impressed by the kind of like the quality of that book and how it was put together, etc. And so I was quite open to the idea of doing something. I've always liked the idea of crowdfunding, but it just, I juggle so many projects all the time that I had to be really, and obviously for a young family, I just was like, realistically, I'm just not going to be able to do a crowdfunder because, I could probably run the campaign, but I don't know where I would put the books. I don't have the time to, the sort of like fulfillment. And so really the idea that there would be a crowdfunding company purely for comics that would do the lion's share of the work for you in the same way that a publisher does the lion's share of the work. And it felt like a really good partnership in that regard, that I was really open to maybe doing something. And it was just like kind of, what would I do? And as we were having a discussion, I had one of my art books there. Like every a few years, I'll do like an art book for a convention, and they always sell out. They always do really well. And I'm often asked about volumes 1 and 2 that have long gone. And I thought, well, this might be the perfect opportunity because the vast majority of these art books are personal work. They're not published work. They're a selection of kind of some covers and stuff that faith covers of the year, but a lot of it is unpublished stuff, personal pieces, more kind of art pieces. And so really it was a perfect vehicle to do it as a crowdfunder, to sort of put all that together and do it in a bigger format. And so for all these fans that have asked over the years, will I republish them? It was a way of republishing those, but without kind of stealing the kind of the uniqueness of that particular thing. If you happen to buy it, you've still got something unique that you bought back in the day. And this would be a completely different package that would stand alongside it, but be really cool for kind of like the fans that I've picked up over the last sort of 15 years. So that was basically the idea behind it. And the campaign went live. From when this goes out, the campaign will have been live for probably around a week or so now, and hopefully it will be doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a recreation. Like you said, it's maintaining that uniqueness of those original creations while still kind of incorporating what's been put out before for the newer audiences. I like that.
Yeah, because I think kind of you always want to, for the fans that have the fans who were there. I mean, the first one I've got a copy of it here now. Like so this first one, this was published in 2016. This was my first art book, and there's stuff in here that is not getting reprinted. Not a huge amount, but there's definitely, I would say, about 20% of this won't be in the new book.
What was the decision in that?
That was my decision. So that anyone that's got this, anyone that didn't get it will still get the lion's share of what they've missed out on. But anyone that did get it, they can still go back to this and go, and it might be that one of those 20% pieces will be their favorite pieces. It'll be like, oh, I love that one, and I've got that one. So it was just about making sure that, it's like doing, for instance, if you're going to do a print, when I sold these, I sold them there's a little number, 100 copies. There's only 100 copies. And so it was important to me that retains a kind of sense of limited edition.
Mm-hmm.
But then the new book, it's going to be in a different format. It's going to be hardcover. It's going to be a much bigger size. It's going to be like a standard kind of like comic book size. It'll be a completely different package. It's far more like a retrospective of the past 15 years. And there's going to be stuff that's going to be in art. The volumes 1 to 3 of the art books, but there's also stuff that's not in any of those books that will only be in this collection. So I think it's going to be quite a special collection.
What I find really interesting is that the covers of all of your art books, including Mini Worlds, has this spaceman. Can you talk a little bit about the significance of the spaceman and why
Many
worlds, Mini MINI worlds,
Mini worlds. The spaceman. It's a continuing motif that I've used many times.
Mini.
All right, guys, enough with the mini.
I'll tell you where the first spaceman came from, because it was born from a collaboration with a good friend of mine called Jeremy Radway, who, when I used to live in London, he was a musician going by the name of Player Piano. You can find his stuff on Spotify. And you'll know you found the right one because you will see the Spaceman. I loved his music. I was really into kind of more than comics at that time. I was into like live music. Now I'm like, I can't be doing with that. As your question already...
couldn't even name a live band that you would want to see.
I know. And so I was a big fan of Jeremy's, and loved his music, loved him as a person, and did him some artwork for his first album. Well, his EP, then his album. And he had this one song called Radio Love. And it just basically, his stuff has got like kind of almost like, it doesn't really sound prog rocky, but it's got that kind of, feels very much like there's stories going on in the lyrics. And even though the story wasn't this, it kind of felt like this, that it was about this spaceman going to the end of the world looking for radio signals because he was looking for a radio station. That's kind of how I perceived the song and the album. And so I created the image of the spaceman with the antenna in the center and this kind of psychedelic kind of thing spreading out based on my friend Jeremy's song called Radio Love. It was one of those images that the minute I did it, I just knew it was something very special. And out of every image I've ever produced or piece of art or print, it is the thing that's resonated with more people. I've sold more prints of that than anything. I mean, at this point, probably close to 1,000 prints of that one image, and nothing even close to that. Of all my other stuff. So it was really just every time I kind of did another Spaceman, it was, partly maybe cynically trying to recapture that magic, but also just playing in the same field. Do you know what I mean? And just, though that's the sort of stuff I like, that kind of like, it looks slightly kind of like a cosmonaut, and looks slightly retro, but it's also kind of like psychedelic and quite cosmic. And then, and you guys know from my comics, that's my bag. And so it became a kind of series, and I've done there's 4 of them now. full kind of spaceman helmet type things, and they will all be in this book. But yeah, I think, but I always stick with it because it kind of came from a place, because I did it for my mate. I mean, I didn't charge him anything. It was because he needed a cool piece of artwork, and I did it in a cool piece of artwork. It's nice. I feel it's almost like, no, I don't believe in kind of the spiritual stuff, but it is nice to feel like the thing that's rewarded me the most is something that I made with love.
It is so much like your style and what I automatically attach to you when I see your work. That Spaceman is very Christian Ward. Like if you had sort of an icon around your body of work, and you've done so much, right? Like the variant covers that you've done, the series that you've worked on, everything that you've done, very much that that Spaceman is very much sort of like your avatar in a way.
Oh yeah, it's my convention banner. For many years, it's been my little. I mean, it's not in the moment, but it's the thing that's been my little, social media icon more than any other image. It's weird. It's but like I'm really happy with it. Like just one of those. It's a weird kind of thing when you're doing art that you just have to kind of let yourself be open up to it. But it was just one of those one in a million images that just happened, and it happened really perfectly. It happened really quickly. It was just, everything came together really nicely.
So speaking of, again, the Spaceman, Zoop, Mini Worlds, let's talk about the Kickstarter itself. Can you tease any of the tiers, or like rewards that fans might have access to when the campaign does start?
No, I'm not. I'm against when this goes live, it'll be you'll be able to put a link in the thing that people can see. I'll show you this. Like this, I raided the my vault of drawings. So there's going to be one thing will be you'll be able to grab. Some of it's like 20 years old now.
Oh, amazing!
Some of these drawings. So it's there's some real, long before I was doing comic book stuff, I was doing illustrations and fashion illustrations and things like that, and just doing stuff for fun. And that's what this art book is. It's a lot of it is just artwork that I used to do just for fun, and like finding my feet and finding my voice as an artist. And that's very much what this story of this book is. It's me finding my voice as an artist. And so in regards to kind of like the kind of tiers that people will be able to, you'll be able to. I mean, look at this one. This one's 2007. This one was done. But you can see how I love my comics. Look at the graffiti. I've got a little. Who watches the Watchmen? Because even then, I mean, this predates me being a comic book artist by quite a bit.
I was a freshman in high school in 2007. Not to make you sound old.
Yeah, I am old. But there's lots of little things like this, and this is really cool. I mean, I get a kick out of stuff like this. So, like drawings like this, and obviously this won't work on a podcast, but you flip it, and there's other things on the other side of the drawing. And what I would do is I would scan both sides of the drawing, and then I'd be able to manipulate both parts separately. I mean, this stuff may have gone by the time this goes live, but there will be these drawings. I've got another big box of them down there, and I've promised Jordan that if they go really quickly, I'll go back to the box and dig out some more. But there's going to be prints. I love prints, both as a consumer myself, but also as I like putting prints out as an artist who's pretty much solely digital now. I like prints as a way of kind of people to be able to enjoy my artwork. So there'll be a line of prints that will go with the book. There's going to be a signed book plate that will go in. You can also pay to get that remarked, so I can do a drawing in the book plate. There's going to be a whole range. There's going to be a way of kind of like, I think we're going to do a digital PDF. So if you don't want to spend too much, you can spend just a small a proportion of what the final price would have been, and get a digital version of the art book. If you just want to see the artwork, you can have it digitally. So I think it's going to be a really good campaign. I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm doing this not because I want to make a load of money. As far as I'm concerned, I'm working on Spectrograph. I've got my other projects coming up, and that's my day job. In the same way that when I take an art book to a convention, the purpose of that art book is not about me making a load of money at the convention. because actually, because of the cost of the art books, they don't make me a huge amount of money. I do them because I know that fans like them, and I think it's important that when you do a convention, it's about you kind of giving a bit of yourself back to your fans as a thank you. The fans kind of support you, and the reason why your career or my career has lasted as long as it has is because I've got a good fan base and people like my work, and so doing the art books at the conventions is a kind of thank you for that. And this Zoop thing is, again, it's about connecting with the fans, saying, is this something you want? And if it is something you want, people can bid on it. If it's not anything they want, they don't have to. It's not like it's not a thing that exists that I have to go out and punt. It's a thing that can exist if people want it. I think that's quite special and feels quite nice and, a genuine, like a nice thing, hopefully. And yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
I think art books are like the perfect way to champion an artist or just a creator in general that you really love. I know when I go to conventions, I'm often looking for, like you said, like a print. Prints are like sort of the easy impulse buy, at comic conventions, but the art book, if I really love a creator, and if you were to see the bookcase behind me here on the bottom shelf, is just a full shelf of art books that I have from different creators over many conventions. I mean, genuinely, not only as, a fan of yours and a friend, I'm very excited for Many Worlds. Like, it's something that I only have, I think I have volume 3 of your art book, and I need to figure out a way to get the other 2 since you won't have everything included in Many Worlds. But I will say that Many Worlds is going to be one of those display pieces that when I have people over and I'm sort of discussing your work in some way, I can go, hey, Many Worlds. Real quick, actually, while I'm thinking about it, can I get a mini version of Many Worlds? Mini Worlds?
Mini Worlds?
That would be cool.
Like a pocket edition.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a good little mini worlds. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
You guys were laughing a moment ago. What the hell was so funny when I was boasting you up? I was trying to butter you up there, and you were both laughing. Why was that?
No, we weren't.
It's because we're children, and he can't stop doing the Many Worlds thing. Every time you say it, he goes back to that first conversation where he's like, and you can see where he's giggling right now. He giggles, I giggle.
I'm over here like, Christian, I love your work. I'm a huge fan, and you guys are laughing.
It's because I don't take myself seriously, and that's why everyone likes me.
Well, speaking of Many Worlds, you got Sam Lake. It's also been recently announced that you've been secretly working on 3-episode Night Springs DLC for Alan Wake 2 that actually premiered recently, June 8th. How in the world did that happen?
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
It's really cool. Do you know what? It's so like my life is so remarkable, and sometimes I just have to pinch myself that some things happen to me because I don't look them out. They're just these strange, wonderful things happen. And working with Sam, that's been one of them. So basically, I'll give you some backstory. I'm not a huge video gamer, partly because I don't have the time, but I love video games. And the one thing that I really like about video games is I really love the story element. Games that kind of have like a cool story. To me, I find that really fascinating because it's a strange in between of the storytelling of comics, the storytelling of films, but something else because it's it's a non-linear story. You are playing a story. I really love that. So some of the games I really like are by Remedy, which were either directed or written by Sam Lake. I can't remember if I followed him first or if he followed me, but we've been following each other on kind of social medias for the social medias, a couple of years now, and just every now and again just kind of sliding into a DM and just being like, oh, that's cool and blah blah blah. And the thing that I really love about Sam is that he's a real consumer of story. He loves film. And he loves comics. He really loves comics. And I think that's one of the reasons why he kind of follows me. And I'm certainly not the only comic book creator that he follows. But we kind of hit it off, and we used to, we chat. As you find with friendship, it kind of starts off small and then kind of becomes more than what it was. And you talk about all sorts of stuff. And that's what it kind of was like with me and Sam. When I did Batman City of Madness. I was sending him PDFs, and he was very kind and kind of like giving me good pull quotes and talking about it publicly on his Twitter. And Alan Wake 2 came out. I was like, this is amazing, mate, because I think we have a lot of the same kind of sensibilities in story. Like we both like kind of quite meta stuff. We both like kind of cosmic horror. A lot of his games play with kind of cosmic horror and that kind of like strange clashing of aesthetics between old and new. A lot of his stuff does that. And we just hit it off. And then he just sent me this email. This was about 4 months ago now. And was just like, do you want to work on Alan Wake 2? We've got a DLC coming out. And do you want to work on a sequence in the game? And it was the, and at the point I was already working on Spectrograph. So, it was really tough time-wise. But it was just one of those projects that you would just... It's not about saying no, it's about saying yes and then finding out and working out how you're going to make that happen. And which turned out to be a lot of late nights and a lot of weekends, which I don't normally work on. I'm very kind of like making sure I have family time. But this was just, it was just too good to pass up. And then for about 3 months, it was a case of jumping on Zoom calls with Sam and the rest of the team at Remedy. Worked with a really good video game director, Claire Nancy, who basically helped. We basically had a Sam script, and then I had to take that script because unlike kind of like a comic book script, it didn't read like a comic book. I had to kind of design with Nancy's help how that would flow as a comic and how it would appear on the screen. Where was the player interaction with that? It was great. It was just it was comics, but it was like a whole other level. And anyone that's, if you've played it, it's also kind of like has this kind of like almost like motion comic quality. So all the characters were on a different layer to the background, and it was all animated and put to music, and then the actors, then like we're speaking the lines, so it was all like you had these actors' lines coming out of the characters' mouths, and it was brilliant. It was so much fun, and it was just such different. The way that video game people work I found it really fascinating. And like me and Sam went for breakfast, and we were like talking about this one day when he came to the UK. Just that there are similarities to comics, how you work in comics with people, and also differences. And it was interesting to see where the overlaps were, industry to industry. But it was just really good fun. It was really good fun. It was a lot of work and very tiring, very stressful. But it was also like amazing to not be able to say anything about it. And then the day that I could say something about it, it was out. There was no like wait to see what it is. It was just like the minute I could talk about it, people could pick up their PlayStation 5s and play it.
Did you have anyone sort of reach out to you and be like, "Oh, I saw you were in the trailer for the DLC for Alan Wake 2"?
It was crazy. Like I don't do a lot of work for Marvel, for no particular reason, and I got like loads of like editors who I had worked with and like done covers for. They would reach out to me and say, "Just saw your work in Alan Wake," and like I had like kind of like people I haven't spoken to for a while going, "Was that you?" And what's nice about it is just that reaffirming idea that you can never smell your own BO, right? You can't see your own style. So the idea that without even seeing credits, people see like a frame of it and go, and it's literally that Leonardo DiCaprio gif pointing at the screen. Do you know what I mean? It's me. Yeah. And it was, yeah. So it's great, it's great just to have that thing. And it's just another, like, one of those moments, that I'm so fortunate to have. But I think, I love story. I enjoy working with people. I get a real kick out of it. How do you tell a story in the best way possible and the most emotive way possible? And it just to do that, even though it was comics, to do that kind of like with one foot in another medium was an amazing privilege.
It's really cool to find yourself being like that recognizable.
Amazing. And like it's completely accidental, really. I mean, it's just like I draw slightly wonk. I've got quite a wonky style in a way. But it's not like my stuff's not like I don't render like shading or anything like that. It's all like quite sketchy and just if it works, it works, and thankfully, it does. And the other thing that's really cool, goes like linking this all back to the art book, is Sam's doing me the introduction to the art book, which is amazing because the guy's a legend, and he doesn't have to do that. But it's it's nice, but just it's I love connecting with people in different fields, and without kind of feeling too name dropping. It was the same thing working with Oscar, Isaac. When we worked together. It's just like you see these people and you you sort of like see them in such high esteem and just think, wow, they're incredible. But then when you're in a room and you're working together and you're just talking about story and getting excited about story, it's just a level playing field. And you realize they're just people. They're just people. They're just people that are really good at what they do and have got lucky. And it's really nice. I really like that.
Yeah, you literally just described our relationship with you. Like when we had you on the show initially, we were a fan of your work. I think you were about to start Aquaman Andromeda. And it just so happened that a relationship, a friendship sort of bloomed out of that. And it's been, you've been on the show 5 times, about to be 6, sometime in the near future, I'm sure.
5 times.
Yeah. So it's funny how that works, right? It's so awesome. It's very serendipitous in that way. Like you said, where you meet someone and you just, you click, and it's fun to sort of explore each other's sort of, I don't think what Aaron and I do here is sort of an industry, but we do something here. This is our way of sort of celebrating the medium, and
Well, yeah, and I think and I was going to make stupid jokes, but I'm not going to because actually, like, it's the same thing. It's about connecting with people over a shared love, and just and you connect with people, Isn't that what life's all about? Do you know what I mean? Connecting with people. Every time I put a book out, particularly a book that I write, all I'm trying to do is connect with people. All I'm trying to do is like, this scares me in life. Does it scare you? This thrills me in life. Does it thrill you? I love this about life. Do you love it too? That's what every piece of fiction that I do is about. It's about connecting with people and hoping that I'm not alone, I don't feel alone, but it's all about like not feeling alone and wanting to surround myself with like-minded people, whether they be strangers, readers, fellow creatives, or you bozos.
That's right. Well, and I thought was really cool in the trailer there, we see Lance Reddick for a moment. So, everyone knows he passed away in March of last year from heart disease. He narrates the beginning of the trailer, which is really cool. And I'm assuming he's probably in the DLC somewhere.
I mean, I haven't played it yet, but I think so.
Well, speaking of connecting with people, one thing that we wanted just to kind of quickly comment on is like, how did you connect with Patrick Reynolds for this new Brave and the Bold?
Oh yeah, so that's all out in the wild now. Oh, you know what? That's a great story. So I haven't told this publicly yet, so I'll tell you guys.
Yeah, exclusive.
Worked with Patrick on Bloodstained Teeth, and you guys chatted to him. I don't know if you met him in real life, but Patrick is one of the loveliest people you will ever meet, and he's amazing. But I found working with him completely frustrating for reasons that I will go into. If I had a full head of hair when I started working with Patrick, I would still look like this now, because he was like, I've never met anybody who has such a little understanding of how good they are. I mean, it's beautiful and it's lovely and it makes him the beautiful, lovely man that he is. But he has no idea that he's this sleeping giant. Worse still, he doesn't think he's good, and he has crippling self-doubt. Anyway, so we met for the first time last year at Thought Bubble UK Comic Convention, and lovely man, him and his fiancée Jen, and got to spend quality time with him and really get to know him. We became really good friends over Bloodstained Teeth, and I really care about the guy, and I really want him to, whenever I work with somebody, as an artist, as a writer working with an artist, I really want to be able to go, okay, I'm going to help you and put you on the next, if I can help you, if I am in a position to help you, I'm going to help you, because I think that's really important. And it's always about, like, you don't kick the ladder once you're at the top. You help people. Lots of artists helped me when I started out. Frank Quietly was very kind to me. J.H. Williams was very kind to me. In fact, J.H. Williams was the first person that gave my work to Vertigo back in the day.
Very cool.
I had loads of artists that would help me. So I was just like, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, like, anyone that I work with, I'm going to try and help. So we hang out in Thought Bubble, have a great time. And then I'm going home on the Monday morning, heading back to Shrewsbury where I live. And the weirdest thing, I'm waiting for the train, and this idea, this fully formed idea, pops into my head. And I call him up, and I'm like, okay, I've got an idea for a story. It's a Batman story, and it's about a new villain that infects you with self-doubt. And I said to Patrick, I said, basically what I want to do is I want to write a letter. The script is going to be a letter to you, and you're going to be Batman. And it's about me telling you that you're better than you think you are, and that by the end of the story, you realize you're Batman and you're at full strength. And it's all about dealing with self-doubt. Every artist deals with self-doubt. And I said, look, I know you've got Gunslinger for Spawn. Can I email the guys that I know at DC and see if they're up for it? And he was like, yeah, sure. So then I emailed the guys that I knew at DC, and it was the quickest yes I think I've ever got. Like, it was within hours. Within hours, it was happening. And then, of course, he panicked. I was just like, oh, I don't know, actually. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If you don't do this now, I'm going to kill you. Like, I've got your Batman story. You're going to do it. Oh, why? And it's amazing. Like, his editors on Gunslinger Spawn have been really, really, really understanding, and they kind of really gave him the time to kind of like juggle the two. And he spent a long time, and he's painted a lot of the pages. And it's a real, I love Bloodstained Teeth was great, Machine Gun was great, and I think I think the closest thing I've come to realizing what I set out to do would be Batman City of Madness. But the thing that we've done is a 24-page story, and it's so tight, so emotive, and so like pure that it could be the favorite thing I've ever done. It's so beautiful. And I couldn't be more proud of him. And I think kind of when people read it, they're going to be blown away.
Did this change his perspective at all? I mean, I know we're putting the cart ahead of the horse here, but like, did he have any kind of like response after you like said, like, because obviously you're talking about him having the self-doubt.
Yeah.
And what did he kind of respond with that when you approached him with that?
Oh, he got very emotional, and he got it. He understood. I was very like, in the script, I'm very like, Patrick, this is you. We're going to talk about you here. But he put his heart and soul into this artwork. His heart and soul. I think we're going to do a story that's going to make people cry. This is a Batman story that's going to make people cry, but they're still punching, they're still swinging for the night, there's still a cool sequence with the Batmobile, everything you wanted. And that's the thing, like, kind of like, Patrick's ambition was to draw a Batman story, so I was like, what villain did you want to do? And he was just like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I put it all in there for him. But wrapped in this package, and like, the idea that he's got to co-create with me a Batman villain, that if this villain resonates with people, who knows how long they'll be. They might just be in this one story, but you never know with a Batman villain. They could be just become a thing unto themselves. But yeah, I think kind of, and the response from the DC editors was amazing, which did him the world of good. I think it's really. Listen, I can't talk for him. You would have to ask him, but based on an outsider looking and a friend looking at him, he seems to have turned a corner, which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I think a lot of times what it takes is someone to sort of notice. In this particular scenario, you're absolutely right. Patrick Reynolds is a undiscovered genius in the medium. It's very surprising that it's like us and 7 other people that know that Patrick is a bona fide all-star in the medium going forward. There's no way that he doesn't have an Eisner in the next near future. So
Oh, 100%.
it's so nice to hear that you are sort of, I wouldn't say like coaching, but you're sort of making him recognize his potential, what he's capable of. And sometimes that's all it takes is those words of affirmation to sort of boost him up and make sure that he knows how great he is, because he is.
Yeah, he really is.
Big Papa Christian.
Oh, a bit bad. I think the kind of combination of Batman and then doing guns, because I've seen his Gunslinger Spawn stuff, and it's next level. So I think he's going to find himself in a very different place this time next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll have basically whatever he wants to do. He'll have the pick of it. And it better be something with me.
You're gonna have a big fall too, because you've got Batman City of Madness hardcover coming out in September, and then of course you've got The Brave and the Bold. This issue, as you said, is 18 with you and Patrick. So the fall, big time for Christian Ward.
Oh yeah, and there might even be something after that. I can't say.
Who would know?
Say.
Who would even know?
Who would know? But yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I did the final design approval on the hardcover for Batman. I think it's going to be a nice, handsome kind of thing that people can have and own. We decided in the extras of the book, because again, that was quite a personal book for me, and there was a story behind why it existed. So we put I wrote this little thing up, sort of talking about what Arkham Asylum meant to me and what Batman means to me and why I wanted to do the book. So, I think it's going to end up being quite a nice little package that will have some emotional resonance to it. So I'm excited for that to be in people's hands.
I've been wanting to have this hardcover since reading that first issue. I'm excited.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. It's gorgeous. It's going to be gorgeous, man.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's end this conversation by talking about Spectrograph.
Yeah.
At the end of this, because we got to get back to that. We got to get back to Ghost Guts and all of these amazing characters. At the time of this recording, issue 2 was just released last week, June 19th. If you're missing out on this, you're dumb. All right, go out to your local comic shop and pick up every issue that you can find.
You're dumb.
You're dumb. Last time we had you on, you and James both did a great job of explaining the premise while also staying relatively tight-lipped about specific details. Let's get specific this time since it's out. Going to the halfway point of the story, what elements of this process of working with James and Distillery have challenged you the most?
I mean, I think the thing that I found most challenging, and I use the term challenging in a positive sense. I mean, whenever I do a project, it's why am I doing this? What's different about this project to something I've done before, and what's going to stop me from getting bored, basically, keep me flexing my muscles. And so really it was about, how am I going to do something, even though there's a kind of psychedelic quality to it, it's very earthbound, it's very reality bound. And actually, because of James and the way that he writes, 75% of it is about the physicality of, and the kind of people relating with each other, very much kitchen sink real life. The biggest horror in the book is a baby that's been left at home. It's nothing to do with the kind of like the cosmic entrails of some creature. So the challenge has been, really pushing myself to go, okay, what does my, and I looked at lots of Michael Mann films because I wanted this to feel quite cinematic rather than the comic booky. What does my Michael Mann comic look like? What does a grounded Christian Ward book look like? And James does this thing in his scripts, where his characters feel really real, and the conversations between those characters again feels really, they're like real conversations. It's like he's heard them and put them on the page. They feel completely genuine and completely true to whoever's speaking them. And he very rarely will put one person talking or two people talking in one panel. It's very much like cut cinematic. So it was about, okay, how do I translate that cinematic cut within a comic page and bring a different design sense, storytelling sense to that, without relying on some of the sort of like special effects of my previous books, the colors and the everything else. Not to say there isn't colors in there, but it's a lot more, for the most part, either realistic or muted. So that's been really fun to do that. Like, I'm working on issue 3 at the moment, and there's a sequence, it's not too much of a spoiler, where they kind of go underneath the house and they're in these tunnels. And James sort of says, they can't see much. And so it's like each panel's like a little, almost we're looking for like a little keyhole, because they've just got like this little light that's just lighting up parts of them. And it's just fun. Okay, I'm going to do something different. Try something different, and kind of trying to be cinematic and trying to kind of reference films that me and James like and that have influenced this book and the story. So yeah, I think that. I mean, the deadlines of you're working on a 46-page book, and the pages are 50% bigger than a normal comic book page. And there's a lot of work there. That's tough, just to keep that real talk. So just to kind of keep that up. You work with somebody like James, and you bring your A game, you up your level, because you want to match them. You don't want to be you don't want to be. I mean, James works with some amazing artists. Martin Alvaro. I don't want to be the weak link. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you wanna match what they're doing and do the story that he's giving you credit.
And do you feel that James has matched you? Has he brought his A game to match your art?
It's hard, right? Like I say, I really love. My favorite thing that James has done is probably Nice House on the Lake. I think it's phenomenal. I don't sit with this in the same way and read it. I take it apart. I'm far more kind of like forensic with it. Like I do, the way I read a script is I will zip through a script really quickly. Like really quick, read it all the way through, and then as I'm drawing it, I will have the page that I'm drawing the script open, and I'll keep reading the page. So I'll read that script page over and over and over as I'm drawing it. I'll read what the characters are saying over and over. Make sure I'm in the scene. Make sure I know what's happening, what happened before, what's going to happen afterwards. So I'm really reading it on a very intense way. So there's not a lot of enjoyment there because I'm really in it. So it's hard for me to say that, that this, I mean, it's certainly as good as anything he's done. And the one thing I can say is I checked on Comic Book Roundup today, and it's the highest rated thing. It's like 97. And I think Nice House on the Lake was 94. No, Nice House on the Lake's got a lot more issues, and we may drop down by the time we've done the 4 issues, but it's very gratifying to see that the thing that we're doing together is at least as good as Nice House on the Lake, viewed by some people. But I think it's great. I love it.
That was my roundabout way, by the way, of saying that you are a great artist and that he had to bring his A game to meet you.
You shucks.
I think one of the true hallmarks of your career and sort of your style is the panel layout. You have one of the most interesting sort of panel layout strategies of any creator that I am aware of. And I think just looking through Spectrograph issue 2, and you can see in issue 1 as well, is just the insanity that is, the panels. And I'm curious, between you and James, what's the shorthand in terms of his scripts and how you sort of determine how to lay out each page? Because I would imagine, I don't know this for a fact, I'm curious of your thoughts on it, but I would imagine that he doesn't really give you a ton of direction. He kind of just lets you go crazy with the panel layout.
Yeah, completely. He's brilliant like that. I mean, so basically, a script from James would be something like, he's laying out a scene between Jen and her name's gone out of my head, but Vesper. Vesper?
Mhm.
Is it Vesper?
Yep.
Yeah, Vesper. So he's laying out a scene between Jen and Vesper, and it's quite cinematic. So he's kind of doing the stage directions. So Jen will do this, and then Vesper will do this, and then. But what's really important and what I really love is he'll talk about the emotional state of them. So he'll be like, Vesper's upset, but she's trying to hide it. He tells me what's going on internally, and that plays a big part into your storytelling. So what do I want the reader? What do we want the reader to feel in this situation? And page layout is a really good way of kind of like influencing what the reader's feeling. Do you feel claustrophobic? Do you feel a little bit lost? Do you feel, what are you feeling? Like the page with when we see the baby crying, the full panel page, like I don't know why, but that felt like it needed to be cut up to me. Like it was broken up, like it was in a cage. The baby was in a cage and couldn't get out. So there's lots of little subtle things you can do with storytelling. But yeah, James is like, he's brilliant. He gives me the story. He tells me emotionally what's happening with the characters. He tells me where all the characters are in any one scene, what they're physically doing, and then it's up to me how I portray that and how I direct it and how I lay that out. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Honestly, I think that'll do it all the time that we have here with you, Christian. We told you that we wanted to have you on for 35, 40 minutes, and here we are, almost double that now. Who would have thought that? Of course, when we get you on here, we want to keep you longer than we asked. So
who'd have thought?
Exactly. So per usual, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the show. We will link, like you said earlier, the Zoop campaign for Mini Worlds or Mini Worlds in the link in the show notes. So
Mini
if you're
Worlds?
listening to this right now, if you're listening to this right now, go to the show notes and you will have the link for that campaign. And you can get notified when it goes live. I think at this point it will already be live, which is incredible. And Aaron and I will already have put in our our funds to get that at some point down the road.
Our support of this amazing man.
That's right. Per usual, can't wait to have you back for a sixth time in the near future for literally any reason at all.
Could be around, I don't know, December time maybe.
Who knows?
Or just another quick hits with Christian.
Another session of quick hits with Christian.
Who knows? Yeah, just get me back on every week to do one of those. He will never catch me. And when I say who, he.
Yeah.
We want you to say who though.
Tom King.
Ooh, throw that gauntlet down.
I can't wait to play this for Tom King when we have Tom on the show next time. It's gonna be. He's gonna come out for.
I'm sure he'll be crying into his HBO Green Lantern money.
That's right.
Just wiping his tears with money.
All right, well, Christian, before we let you go, is there anything you want to highlight? What cons are you going to this year? Is there anything you want to say before we head out of here?
I don't know if it'll be announced, but maybe you'll soon see me in New York. I don't know.
Aaron, do you have anything you want to say before we head out?
No, I just, again, Christian, as always, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being Golden Girls. But it's a love-hate thing when you're on the show, because ever since I want to say it was like three appearances ago, you've pulled out this Poison Ivy poster behind you, print, and it's just it's taunting me.
It's a Giclée, I think, isn't it?
This is Giclée.
Giclée. It's taunting me.
I can sort you out.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. See, that's all I've ever wanted from you.
A little
That's all
hookup.
I've ever wanted.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We will see you next time. We'll see you at New York Comic Con, and we'll see you again whenever it is the next time that you're on the show. Alrighty, there's that conversation with Christian Ward. Always a pleasure to talk to our good friend Christian. He is, again, as we said at the beginning of the show, one of our best friends in the industry. We've gotten breakfast with him in New York. Aaron, what did you think of Quick Hitters with Christian? Were you a fan of that new segment?
I'm it's just funny because he has like the same like stupid kid like dumb boy humor that we have.
Yeah.
Like even though it's like you're like, oh, the British are like more more intelligent, more mature, blah blah blah, and we're just all being a bunch of dumb dudes.
Yep. Yeah. It's so fun to just bro out with Christian here on the Oblivion Bar.
Exactly. Should be the new segments, broing out with Christian.
Yeah, that's right. I'm excited to see him in New York later this year.
Yeah.
October will be, I think, his only con the entire year. Aaron and I have sort of played. We actually introduced the idea of maybe going to Thought Bubble in November, ? We'll see. If we do, we'll definitely see Christian there. But I know definitely, I'll speak for Aaron here. Very excited for New York in the fall. Always a pleasure to have Christian here on the show. He will be back, everybody. Surprise, surprise. I'm sure at some point down the road in the near future, as we said, maybe next week. Actually, no, he won't be back next week because there's someone very special that we'll be introducing here in just a moment.
Yeah.
But thank you again to Christian for being on the Oblivion Bar podcast. Always just a wonderful time.
He'll be back soon because that man does not stop working.
Not only does he not stop coming onto the Oblivion Bar, but he also doesn't stop just putting out bangers, just banger after banger.
Bangers.
Next week on the show, Aaron, this is a big deal for a couple reasons. For episode 165 of the Oblivion Bar podcast, I had the ultimate pleasure of sitting down with my favorite comic writer. I wouldn't even say favorite comic writer, favorite writer, just overall. One of my favorite creators in the world of comics. You've known him as the writer of Pride of Baghdad, Paper Girls, Ex Machina, Why the Last Man, Lost, season 2 and 3.
Yep.
And Saga. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Brian K. Vaughan for an hour long, Aaron. I told him, I said, 30 minutes, Brian. That's all I need. I just want to introduce our listeners to the return of Saga at the end of July with issue 67. Comes out the last Wednesday of July. And he and I, Aaron, when I tell you I'm so proud of this conversation, it is, it's special. I think the only thing that would have made it better is if you were there, but I will say I think folks are really, really going to enjoy this conversation.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you got this opportunity because you have been like gushing and also like even before that, like working your ass off to get in touch
calling every favor
with his
that I had.
calling in every favor to make it happen. And I'm happy for you. Like I told you so many times, like I'm so happy that you got this opportunity because it's I think that's what's kind of truly unique about this medium is that especially you and we've got to talk to some of our absolute favorite creators on the planet, and it's just been like a wild ride thus far.
Yeah.
And I was just happy. Like I was just, pleased as punch that you got to speak to him.
To your credit, you were like immediately like, please, like do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal for you because he's a bucket list creator. Like I think, Aaron, I'd love to hear your kind of thoughts on this really quick. If you can think off the top of your head really, really quickly, but it's like, for me, it'd be like Brian K. Vaughan, Jim Lee, James Gunn, Chris Evans, trying to think of someone else really quickly off the top of my head. Florence Pugh obviously would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of those folks. There's a bunch of comic creators I would love to have on the show, but yeah, Brian was at the tippy top of my bucket list creators to have on, and I've already done it. We can shut the show down. I've got the one.
Well, I sent you a picture the other day, and I actually achieved very much multiple bucket list encounters.
Aaron's doing his part.
Yeah, I'm doing my part. I literally went to Contropolis, New Jersey, which is a convention. I went and basically, volunteered to do some fundraising with with the New York City Ghostbusters, who I am actually, as of the Contropolis in New Jersey, I am now a full-fledged member. My probationary period is over, so I'm an official
Aaron ain't afraid of no ghost.
Yep, but during that, and I got to speak with, do photos, get autographs of Dina Meyer, Casper Van Dien, Jake Busey, Michael Ironside, Seth Gilliam, all of them, the main cast, and guess who's going to be here in New York City for NYCC?
The same crew,
but also, and I'm gonna forget her name, but the girlfriend, I forget her name.
Denise Richards,
she's gonna be here.
No kidding.
Yeah, for New York Comic Con. So I may have to potentially crack open I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't really care. She's not my favorite character in the movie, but I sent my book to get graded with all of their signatures because I spent that money, which
Sure.
no regrets. But those were bucket list, honestly, like encounters. Like
Yeah.
Dina Meyer as Dizzy.
What is he doing? Why is he
Damn.
so attached to Denise Richards when he has Dina Meyer
Exactly.
on his jock the entire movie?
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Exactly.
What a dummy.
Casper Van Dien. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
What's Neil Patrick Harris doing? Why isn't he
I
coming?
have not seen him. He's probably too busy being successful.
Yeah, he's too busy doing other things.
But I will tell you this, a really cool thing. Speaking Michael Ironside, probably one of the most badass, awesome guys. Like just a complete, like Richter from Total Recall.
Yeah.
You know, like just all the stuff that
Welcome to the party, Richter.
Yes. He was what's his name in Top Gun? Jester?
Oh yeah, he's one of the
Yep, he was Jester in Top Gun. But also, if you have not seen Turbo Kid, all right, Turbo Kid is an indie film. He told me that they're doing a sequel, which I'm fucking pumped about. But anyways, it was just great to talk to him.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah. Okay, so we just need to get the entire crew of Starship Troopers on the show for a rewatch.
Yeah,
That would be incredible. Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Starship Troopers is weirdly very important to both of us. I don't like we were ahead of the game. I know people are. It's like kind of a cult. It's like a cult classic, fun film. Everyone wants to pretend they've always loved Starship Troopers. Not necessarily. I think for a long time, folks it was sort of a punching bag. But I think that it is truly like a classic.
We should do a show on it.
We should. I don't know why we got on the topic of Starship Troopers. Yeah. I was trying to mention that we're having Brian K. Vaughan on the show next week, and that's what we do. That's what we do. Yeah.
But I was gonna say I got this. So Michael Irons, I got his Gene Ratchak Funko Pop sign, and on the side, I didn't even see when he did this. All I did was see him sign it, and he put a little smiley face. I was excited for the smiley face, but what I didn't see was that on the side of it, he wrote, "Everyone fights, nobody quits."
This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. You don't do your job, I'll shoot you. You get me.
We get you, sir!
Yeah. But anyway, so 165 of the Oblivion Bar podcast. Brian K. Vaughan will be here.
Yes.
It was an incredible conversation. I talked to him back in early June, and I am genuinely so excited to get people's reaction.
You're still
to this.
pumped from it. You're still jazzed.
He doesn't do interviews, Aaron. Like I looked it up. The last podcast interview he did was with Off Panel in 2021. But that was for the previous return of Saga. So it's on a little bit of a hiatus, and now it's back. I don't know if he's done any other conversations. I kind of hope selfishly that he hasn't. So that way we're sort of the one-stop shop for, Saga Returnal. And it's full spoilers. So if you have not read up to at least to issue 54 of Saga, I would recommend that you get there and then listen to the conversation, because we talk about everything up to issue 66, but especially up to issue 54. So that is next week on the Oblivion Bar podcast. Very excited for that episode. Aaron,
yes,
I think we've done it. Episode 164 is in the books. Please take us out of here.
Subscribe to our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, that's where we are. We want to thank our patrons, Alex, Alice, Aaron, Botter from Shortbox, Brad B, Cassidy, Chris from the Bada Boom Pod, Chris Y, Christy, Danny, David, Elliot, George, Greg from First Issue Club, Haley, Ham6, Jake from Spec Tales, Jake S, Jeremy, Kenny, Kyle, Losi Mac, Miles, Mike, Robert, Sean from I Used to Like This One, Travis, Zach, and Brad Lisa from Comic Book Couples Counseling.
We got we got like 3 new patrons last week. Thank you to Chris, Zach, and Gianni for all joining. Brad B is back. Danny, a lot of new patrons here recently. Very cool.
And we just want to put out also, if you want to support the show without spending any money, a 5-star rating and or review on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, anywhere, again, that you listen to your favorite podcasts, any kind of review, word of mouth, that stuff helps awesome. You don't have to be a Patreon member to support the show. You can do it like free. And we just, we're so thankful for that. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads at Oblivion Bar Pod. Thank you, Omnibus, for sponsoring the show.
For the last time. Pour one out for Omnibus, everybody. If you're drinking something, put her in the air, because this is the last time we'll mention Omnibus on the show, at least in a like sort of business, way. We're always going to, like Aaron said earlier, hold them in high regard. But episode 164 is the very last episode that is sponsored by Omnibus.
You can find official merch of the show at our website, oblivionbarpodcast.com. Thank you, Kevin Ziegler, for all of our Oblivion Bar art. He's at the Zig Zone on Instagram. Thank you, Dream Kid, for all of our musical themes. Thank you, DJ Skyvac, for our grid theme. And last but not least, don't forget to tip your bartenders 20% or more. And don't forget to say your prayers for Omnibus tonight.
That's right. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Oblivion Bar podcast. We will see you next week for episode 165.